Yeah, it's your boy Ray on the mic. Let's go. Mic check, mic check. Welcome to On the Mic with Ray White, where we share life lessons, encourage self-reflection, and equip you to take action. My name is Ray White, and I am juiced that you're taking time to listen to this episode today. And this episode is a quick reflection, OTM sound check that I want to give to you all today regarding these shoes. Now, these shoes are my college track and football cleats. For some of y'all who don't know, I used to do long jump and triple jump, and as a wide receiver back in college, Division III college called Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. And for much of my life, I found and saw myself as an athlete. Like that was who I was. Yeah, I had other qualities. I was doing other things, but my main vehicle was athletics. So much so that I remember being in high school looking, I put posters on my wall and also stats of some of those athletes on my wall and said, yo, I'm going to try to hit those statistics when I am in high school and in college. Like these are the stats I need to hit in order for me to go pro in some capacity, right? And so I'm looking, I've been, I'm 10 years removed now from college and, moved on with my life, and so to speak. We've moved homes. I packed these away. And now that I have children, I was thinking like, man, where are my cleats at? Where are my cleats? Like, where are these things that I used to hold on tight to that I can find them again? And, my oldest, he's now, we got him in the T-ball. He's asking for cleats. And I'm like, yo, where are my cleats at? Now I'm hyped. I'm like, okay, where am I at? So we finally found them. I finally found them the one night tonight. And found them, hyped about them, put them on. And so much emotion just rushed back into me. Emotion that I haven't felt in a long time, or I felt, but it's been a different way, but more so in this athletic context, like emotions of the grind, the sweat, the glory, the pain, the practices, the games, the meets, all of it. Like just so much emotion came over me as I was putting on these shoes, and it was overwhelming. I gotta be honest with you, it was super overwhelming. I did not really know how to process it in the moment. So I sat right over here for like a solid 30 minutes, just sitting there like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? And I'm trying to put into words what I was feeling outside of just the immediate emotion of putting on these shoes and reflecting on the years of athletics that I've been a part of. And I think a lot of it was just how much my identity was so tied into being a top athlete and wanting the world to see me, wanting others to see me as a jumper or wide receiver or football player or a track athlete, in high school, a basketball player, what have you, like see me as this pinnacle athlete out here. And then when it was all over, it was tough. It was tough. And I gotta be real with you. Like, even in putting these shoes on, like I reflect on not just the success that I achieved, but more so the failures, the things that I didn't succeed in. The fact that I didn't play all 4 years of football and track. Some of that had to do with academics. Some of that had to do with my own ego, really. Some of that had to do with just my identity crisis of figuring out what I'm going to do post-college. And knowing that in Division III, not many athletes get to go pro. And there was, and dealing with injury and dealing with just dealing with the fact that I was trying to figure out who I was outside of sports. I look at these cleats and I'm like, man, like there was just so much that was tied to it, and immediately went to just ways that things I could have done better. And as I was sitting there reflecting for like 30 minutes, right in this region, if you're watching on YouTube, I was very much so like, I gotta throw these cleats away. Like these cleats are giving me bad vibes. I'm not feeling happy when I have these cleats. Like these cleats don't spark joy. You feel me? But that's a rash decision. I don't necessarily think that that's a right call, only because these shoes have a story. These shoes play a role in my development as a person. And as I look at our children growing up, and now one of them to stepping into athletics, these shoes can play a role in the story that I tell him in his own identity, in his own growth. And honestly, these shoes transfer over to how I am driven in other areas, right? And it can relate to, again, how it can transfer to the drive that my children have in these other said things that's beyond athletics. Knowing that our identities aren't tied to our failures, our success, our trials, our triumphs. Like, they're all part of the story that makes us us. But if we attach our identity so much to those different things, we would feel so lost. We won't know who we are. And we would always try to find our way to get back to glory, get back to that moment, or to run away from some moments because we think that that's what our identity is tied to. Like, only that. Like, I put these cleats on and I was like, yo, I got to get back to my shape. Get back to 2010 Ray. You feel me? Get back to that. Get back to jumping out of the sand pit. Get back to, running routes and catching balls like it's nothing, right? Like, I got to get back to that. Get back to that fitness. But, I don't think that's necessarily the goal. Like, sure, that could be an aspiration and I can do that, but that's not the goal. The goal is, or the new goal, the new dream, the new aspect that I'm trying to reach to is, how can I leverage these artifacts as stories to help shape the experiences that the next generation will see. And that way they can know, hey, if you go this route, that's amazing. That's great. You should go that route. If you feel it within your heart to go this route of athletics, or this route of being an artist, or this route of gaming, or this route of dancing, or whatever, like, if you go around these routes, that's fantastic. Just recognize that this is not all who you are. Like, you're more than these things. You're worth more than these things. You have greater value than whatever it is that you produce. Like, you are already enough. And here are the ways to make sure that you can walk through that. And more importantly, here are the people who can help you walk through those things, so you're not feeling like you're doing this alone. So you don't feel like you have to keep up in doing these types of things in order to have value in this space. These are the things that I know were conversations having around me. I may have had a tough time. I did have a tough time accepting those things, because I'm like, no, yeah, I hear you, but I'm a jumper, right? I'm a wide receiver. I'm an athlete. I'm gonna be doing this. But more conversations like that early on could have potentially helped in shaping, detaching myself, or being able to move on in a healthy way to transition to something different. And with that in mind, I'm going to be able to do that. I want to do that well. My wife and I, together as a partnership, help in doing that well for our children in whatever endeavor that they decide to do. So this is a fun and challenging time for me to be able to do that, to not force upon anything, but to be a guide and provide that type of space to grow and develop in that space, but also process in that space too, because I think that's truly important, to be that voice, to be that mentor, to be that guide for my children and other children, kids as well, who may come in contact with me and just say, yo, yeah, like, I did this. This was fun. Here's what I learned. And you have somebody now in your corner who can walk you through this too. So why I share all this is, I want you all to process what are the things in your past that you may be holding on to as artifacts in your life. It could be cleats. It could be your past something that you may have written in the past. It could be a trophy that you may have in your house. It could be a glory moment, or it could be something that you just like constantly go back to as a failure time in your life. A couple things I want y'all to do is to look at those things and see it as an experience that has shaped your story. That's not who you are, but it shaped your story. Like it's part of who you are, but it's not all that you are. So how do you see that as shaping your story and the lessons that you could pull from that, to where you can transition that to point number 2, which is transfer those experiences, those lessons, those stories into what you're currently doing today and what you want to do in the future. All those things are tied together. It's part of it's part of the circle of life, right? Shout out to Lion King. It's a systemic process. Everything's working in the system to where what you've learned in the past and what you experienced in the past can help you today and tomorrow and shape your journey moving forward. So taking those lessons, how can you pull from that and shape your journey today and moving forward? Which then leads to the third thing, is to be a guide and a mentor for other individuals who are walking in your path, in your steps.